Hello everyone, Teacher here, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to break down a team and take a look at them individually and rate them overall for the raids. And I won't be considering glyphs because glyphs aren't here yet, and glyphs will affect every team member. So if you're ready, let's take a closer look. So the team that we're going to be looking at is Haradrim, and the reason why I'm looking at Haradrim is because I actually have them pretty well built up and everything is just pretty okay. Now, how we're going to do this, it's been a long time since the last video. I'm going to review them one at a time. All 4 chapters, where do I think they score on a 1 out of 10 as viable for the raids. And then at the end, we're going to do a combined score for Haradrim. So we're going to start off with the first one, who is the highest power for me, and that is Robel. Now, Robel is actually pretty vital to the Haradrim in all 4 chapters. So we're going to go into her abilities. Southern Spear is so massive. Like, this is an ability that's really good. It has 170% damage. She actually has pretty good damage. And 25% turn meter reduction. This is massive for chapter 2 and chapter 4. It is also pretty good in certain situations in chapter 1 and chapter 3. Her Fury and Steel is nice, but you only gain 1 stack of defensive. Then you have a Provoke Swap, which is okay for chapter 3. The damage is okay, it's 270% damage. Then we come to this one here, Wide Swing, her AoE ability. Everyone, 230%, 15% turn meter reduction. Pretty good. If this had been 20%, it would have been really amazing. 15, still good, but it isn't amazing. And then there's her passive. Like, remember, Haradrim do share their passives when Tebeb is alive. On crit, inflict 1 stack of Black Serpent's poison. Gain 10% focus. This is also really important. Now, for Robel in the 4 chapters, you actually want to go and say her basic and her passives are the ones that you want to do the most, because that way you help yourself in chapter 2, which they were sold for. Her AoE special 2 is also pretty good for chapter 1, and also it will be nice for chapter 3 when there will be glyphs in here. Overall, where do I think she lands? I think Robel lands at a 9 out of 10 for the raid. And the reason why that is because she is so vital here with the turn meter reduction. Her passive is also really good. That is something they really strive with. And then she has an AoE. So I was torn between 8.5 and 9, but I ended up with a small 9 due to how good she is. And that is also one of the reasons she actually has okay damage, health, and her speed is also pretty good compared to the other members. So that was Robel. The next one we're gonna take a look at is Beidou, and as you saw, I am on the way to get Robel to gear 9. The reason why I'm doing that is for focus and a little bit extra stats, and because I have the crystals for it. So Beidou, overall, she's really good. This one right here is what you really want for chapter 2. There's no way to go about it, but this is what you really need. This one is a must. If you want to do difficulty free and get to that second topple or second kill, this is the ability that you need. Pure and simple. It has free time, so that's good for a flame form in chapter 4, and then it inflicts 2 stacks of poison, so that's pretty nice. And it's okay damage-ish. She doesn't have that much damage. Then we have her Serpent Stance. She grants Steadily. She grants Concentration. Pretty okay. Concentration, focusing is increased by 50%. Deadly. Like, you really want to get it to level 5. This one would be also nice for the chapters, but it isn't as vital because you can stop it here. This ability is actually, yeah, it's fake. I don't know how else to actually say it. This ability right here is a disguise. You don't really want to level it. Like, yes, it would be good for the, how should we say, for the Balrog, but for the Cave Troll, this is what you need. So you inflict the poison stacks. Because the Black Serpent poison here, you'll get that through crits elsewhere, and poison is just way better when it actually just has so many poison stacks, then it takes a lot of damage. Graceful Blades, however, is really good for chapter 4, I believe. And also just for chapter 1, because sometimes you do find them without a boon. Chapter 3, as you all know, they have a stack of Unbreakable to begin with, so it doesn't really come into effect there. But chapter 4 with the Balrog and chapter 1, this one will be really nice, so you do get a massive damage increase. I have planned to build into this in the future, so rest assured of that. Overall on Beidou, because she is just so massive for especially chapter 2, and the fact that she's really fast, I would put her, depending on the day, 8.5 and 9. I have gone with a 9, just like Robel. It's a small 9, but it's a 9 nonetheless, because one of her abilities is just so vital, and actually her special one is also pretty good. So that were 2 of the 3 ladies from Haradrim. Now we're gonna go into Yef2. Yef2, he will be gear 9 next week when there's a refresh on the gem store in game. I'm not gonna waste 1,000 to get his materials, his unique ones, but I will get him, and hopefully that will help. Yef2 is a very interesting character because his speed, not good. High damage, health is okay, but he reminds a lot of Robel, just slower. But then his abilities does more damage. So, Twin Tusks inflicts weaken. This is really nice for the Balrog. It's also really nice for the Cave Troll. And certain locations in the chapters 1 and 3 where you want a weaken on a Skull Crusher, for instance. So this could be really nice. Then you have this one right here, which is actually a really good ability. I would say if you were to invest into it, then his basic, you could go for that max because you want to use the basic a lot. And then you would definitely want this so you have a 2-turn expose and a 3-turn stamina. That is really, really nice because that will help you a lot on both Cave Troll and Balrog, but he is rather slow. And then he has this one, which is nice. Dispel 2 boons, but it is a 4-turn cooldown and you don't have it right off the bat. So for me, this one isn't that great. Like, it's okay, but you have multi-attacks elsewhere, so yeah. It's not a massive must. It is a nice damage, however, 400%. And then we have his basic, which is really key for the Cave Troll, like Beidou's basic and Yef2's passive is really, really important because you gain crit. And here you have many ways of cleansing. That's also why Beidou was really nice and why I am considering her special one, because that means you get another 30% crit chance. That's 25% on top of your basic 10, and then if you have deadly, that's another 30%, that's 65%. It's pretty good. And Yef2 I've put at an 8 out of 10. And the reason why I put Yef2 at an 8 out of 10 is, yes, he has nice ability here, and he has decent damage, 210%. He has an expose with nice damage, but he is very slow. And we need turn meter, so that is what I really am looking for in him. Also because overall Haradrim do have low focus, so his abilities, like his weaken, doesn't land as much on the Cave Troll. I was around 8 to 8.5, but due to his slow and the fact that you only really need one of his abilities for the Cave Troll, which they were sold on, that's why I've gone on 8. He is nice overall, but and I like his kit design and his like you can see the serpent here and the skull and the ability names, but again, 8 out of 10. Then we come to Woob. Guild currency, like here you have a guild chapter, and here you have a hard node in the Shadow hard, and then here you have an early game in light hard. Woob suffers from one massive problem, and that is his speed. His speed is horrendous. Like, he is so slow, and yeah, he's supposed to be the tank, but he's just so slow that it doesn't really help. His abilities, 210% damage on his basic, that's nice. Here you have 2 stacks of Provoke, and you cleanse Bane from yourself. I have a big issue with this. You do the attack first, then he does the cleanses. So if you are blinded or something, you don't get the cleanse before after the attack, so you actually miss. So this is a big issue for me, the fact that you cleanse after you do the actual attack. Provoke stacks are nice. This is the trick that you go with basically in swapping around in Chapter 3 with Robel and Woob, that they can swap their targeting, but he is so slow, so it's really hard to get kills down, and the only reliable way to actually counter the stacks is with their AoE, so they're not the best for Chapter 3, and that is because they're not very fast, and their AoE is on a 4-turn cooldown on the slowest character, and the other one has a 5-turn. That's pretty hard. Healing, it is nice, but like I would say I never even actually feel this heal. 3% maybe I would feel it a little bit, but again, like it's not that much. It's 1% out of 40k, or it's 1.5 out of 40k health. That's not a lot. So yeah, overall I've been kind, and I put Woob at a 7.5, and the reason why I have him at 7.5 and not 7 is because you do have the ability to swap your marks around in Chapter 3. This one is really good for both Cave Troll and basically all 4 chapters, so I've been kind and say due to this is why he scores that high. Because it is a really nice ability and it's a 2-turn slow. You do have to go to level 6, and I also do see him on some defensive arena teams. I know arena's not being mentioned, but it was a little bit in my mind, and the slow in the chapters are actually pretty nice. So 7.5. He's gear 8. I don't really plan anytime soon on making him gear 9, but it will probably happen just because I have the in-game gold at the moment to do it. But I am lacking, let's see, what is it that he actually requires? This is the same as the elves. That's also something that counts against him. A lot counts against him. So yeah, don't make him gear 9 until your elves are done. And then we have the last one. The lady. The one who caused an uproar. Tibetgate. 50% reason why there was a massive uproar when the Balrog was released. Her abilities. Leader ability, they share their passive when they are alive, of course. Squad members gain 10% damage, 15% block chance. If only it had been a little bit higher, that would actually have been really, really nice. 10% damage is nice, 15% block, it's okay. So, if we look at it like this is actually a really nice ability. The only problem with leader abilities is they cost green materials, and as such, you don't really get a lot out of leveling it up. There are other leader abilities that are better than hers. Her basic, she always grant Fortitude. Now, I'm trying to check up on this because Fortitude should actually be 50%, so I don't know if this is actually just a text, or if it's actual a mistake, or if it's something that's working unintended, but I'm trying to check up on it. Haven't really heard anything confirmed either way. 2-turn Fortitude would be nice, and you gain 180% damage. That's pretty nice. And again, Fortitude is nice. Then you have her healing. I'll make this level 5 soon. 500 and percentage of her max health. Grant Fortitude again to 1 random squad members. Level 6, it's 2 random squad members. and it's actually 20% heal and 800 flat. So this ability gets better the higher star level she is. And that is a big problem because, as you all know, she's in the challenge store. So that's a problem, but 4 turn heal and she's pretty fast and it's okay. Could be better, but could also definitely be worse. Then we have her Coiled Serpent. This is really interesting because Grand Haste for 2 turns is massive. Like, this really allows you in a clutch scenario to help in chapter 1. My Haradrim is scoring 900k. They actually really should. Otherwise, there would be a big issue there, but they are scoring 900k. But their speed is a big problem, and we'll review all the chapters in just a moment. If this had been cleansed from everyone, which I think it should, would have been so massive. But the fact here that you can actually be unlucky is a massive turnoff for the Haradrim. Considering how much you need to invest into them, the fact that you don't cleanse Spains from everyone, I feel that was really something that should have been there. Then we have her passive, and this is the fact that they have Unbreakable, and you have a chance of getting a regeneration stack or two stacks of it. 3 stacks is okay to help with heal, but the fact that it's when you drop below 50%, there's a lot of boon removal in the game. Not a massive fan of it, honestly. Her passive feels really underwhelming. So overall to Beb, and if we also consider everything here, 150%, 150 speed, she has not the greatest of stats. Her health is also low as a tank, and scaling off it with not that much flat healing. I've put Tebeb at an 8.5 to an 8, and it's really moving around. The fact that she gets an 8.5, no, I'm actually gonna change her to an 8, I believe. It's really, I have a mixed feeling about it. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go with 8.5 because she has heal, she has speed up, and she does grant some fortitude. So she's a little bit better than Yef2, and also her lead ability, 15% block and 10% damage is quite nice. So that was the Haradrim, all the members, and if I were to land on a score, I'll do that in just a moment. Let's first talk about the chapters. Chapter 1, they can score 900k, you have 2 AoEs, you have some cleanse, you have some deadly, and as we get Glyphs, they should be able to do difficulty 4 okay-ish, but will take some time how to figure that one out. Glyphs sets recommendations, that will be for a later time, that will be for my video together with Swag. We will do Haradrim at some point, I'm pretty sure. If not certain, I would say. Haradrim for chapter 1 are pretty nice because you have 2 AoEs. But you do need to time it correctly because if they get hit by Skull Crushers, like Skull Crushers are banes of everyone, but when it hits Haradrim, they are so slow. It can really mess you up a lot because you're just so slow when there are bombers out there. So that's a big issue. Chapter 1, they're doing okay. There are better squads out there, but as a full, they're okay. So I think for chapter 1, I would score them maybe an 8.5 to a 9. Chapter 2, which they were sold for, you really need Bekelu and Yef2 and Robel. Like, these 3 are the bread and butter here. So even if you aren't maxing Wubete and Tebeb that much yet, you can still get okay score. You just need these 3, and here it was the basic and the passive. Here, the basic. Here, the passive. That will help you. And as my Yef2 gets higher, and I will at some point have his abilities leveled, his basic and his special 1, that will also help a lot. So for chapter 2, considering all the squads and what people can do with them, 9, I would say. Because yes, they are nice, but you need massive investment, but you do need that on many different teams. And again, remember, this is as a whole. If you split other teams up, there are some teams out there that can score higher. with lower investment, but I would say a 9. Chapter 3, I'm being nice and say 7 out of 10. Because you really, really lack cleanse. I think there is some wiggle room to get up to a 600k score. I haven't really found it yet, and I think it requires gear 9. I'm scoring around 450 to 500 with them, and my big issue is the fact that I have problems swapping the marks around and having the correct speed. So more damage. They're actually doing pretty okay damage, so I think that can be really, really nice. However, they lack something. So a 7 out of 10. They're not that great as a complete unit, and this also ties into chapter 4. You need cleansing. Like, yes, you can get heal, which is okay, but you need cleansing more of anything, and they don't have that, so they suffer really there. I would say 7.5 to an 8, and the reason for that is the fact that they have okay damage. So, but there, and also you can do some tricks where, like, who gets the initial blind, so you can get Beidou going first. She can cleanse it, and that's pretty okay. But you do have some issues there. So overall, for the Mines of Moria raid, this team, I am conflicted about where they score. I am having them between an 8.5 and a 9. That's maybe higher than some people have thought, but they are actually what some people put into a top 5 overall raid team when it comes to what can you do across the 4 chapters. So I'm probably going around an 8.8, but if we were to actually go with a half or a whole stat, I would put them at 9 when you have them max invest into. That is really what is causing them to tip the scale a little bit in that regard. The fact that once they're fully leveled, you actually have a pretty okay team. But there are other teams out there that score great. They're balanced, and they will benefit from runes, actually. Glyphs, not runes, glyphs. They will actually benefit a lot from glyphs with speed and everything. That should make them a lot more viable. So we could say 8.5 as a whole, because they have some glaring issues. I'm looking at you, Woob, with your speed. And then with glyphs, maybe they will be up around a 9. But for now, yeah, final score 8.5 is where I'm landing on them. They're a really nice team. They're fun to play with, but they really they really suck in some regards. So yeah, these 3 is what you need for the cave troll. So if you are looking for something, then do these 3. They are also the most free to play friendly to get. So that's actually, I don't know if it's intended, but I do find it very funny. So this was a review of the Haradrim in raids. What do you think they scored? Do you agree with anything? How well have you built them, and what are you getting out of it? For me, again, I am getting 900k in chapter 1, 800 in chapter 2, 450 to 500 in chapter 3, and then I'm getting a little bit above 200 in chapter 4 at the moment. So drop a comment down below. Perhaps leave a like on the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.